Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I finally got around recently to watching a movie that I picked up probably about 5 months ago, somewhere in there. I've always wanted to see the movie. I have a new setup in this room that my wife and I set up around Christmas of last year, January of this year, for a TV that we bought for Black Friday. And one of those movies that I thought would look so good on this TV, being so close to the couch. There's nothing like having a big TV and having a couch close to it. You feel like there's so much more involvement and whatever. I wanted to see this movie all those years ago in 2011 when it came out. Never got around to watching it. Now I found the extended cut and the theatrical cut in one Blu-ray set, and that film is Zack Snyder's directed and written film, Sucker Punch. Now, many of you know this is like an art house movie, but kind of like an action-focused, action-centric art house movie. This was terrible. I fucking hated it. I thought it was horrible. Horrible. I watched the extended cut only. That's the only one I saw. It's about 2 hours and 7 minutes, and the original in theaters is about 17 minutes shorter than that. I don't know what's in there. I don't know what's not. All I know is this whole movie from beginning to end not only made me uncomfortable, but had me sort of intrigued about what it was going to do, but I also hated the way things were executed. Zack Snyder co-wrote this with somebody, and it's more proof that Zack Snyder is a wonderful director. I love the way he directs things, even his bad movies like this or the first part of Rebel Moon. I haven't seen part 2, so I can't speak to that. But his worst movies are usually still well directed, most of the time. The films I love from him, I think, are super well directed. But when he writes, as soon as his fingers come near a keyboard, he fucks the movie up. This is one of those excellent cases of that. Anyway, Sucker Punch is basically about a young girl who, I think she's supposed to be 16. She clearly is being played by like a 25-year-old hottie. And she comes from an abusive house. Her stepfather's very abusive, I think was the person who was abusing her and her little sister. And she attacked the guy, tried to kill him essentially. She gets institutionalized, and I think the film kind of takes place in like the 20s to the 50s. It has this kind of World War II thing going on sometimes, but kind of not. And essentially, in reality, she gets institutionalized into Oscar Isaac's asylum. I don't know what to call it. And he does run that place, as I said, Oscar Isaac. It wasn't a joke. She's by herself. She gets the nickname Baby Doll and now has to learn to dance because this institution actually takes the young girls that are brought to them institutionalized and they basically put them into sex trafficking. But not only that, they have them dance to seduce the men into paying more money towards them. It's essentially a sex trafficking operation entirely, but nobody knows. And every time Baby Doll, with the support of her 3 other friends, one that's kind of aggressive, played by Abby, what is her name? Abby Cornish, who I don't know from anything, but I've heard the name before. Vanessa Hudgens, the heartthrob of my childhood. I saw High School Musical, and I fell in love with Vanessa Hudgens. I've been a fan of hers ever since. And Jenna Malone is also in this too, as one of the girls who helps support her. But they all get kind of brought into this thing with her of possibly trying to escape from this place. There's also a dance instructor who works there too. I think she was in Watchmen. I think she played the daughter of Sally, or maybe her name was Sally, something like that. Silk Spectre, I don't know who she was. Anyway, she's super fine in this movie. I love that chick, the instructor lady. Even though she's involved in all this evil shit, she's really hot. Basically, Baby Doll tries to find a way to escape, but a lot of her escape comes from mentally dividing herself away from the things that are actually happening to her. Her dances and whatever, when she's supposed to be able to learn to dance with the other girls, she blows them away, but we don't see her dance. We actually see her in her mind, and the vision that she has in her mind of fighting monsters and creatures. If it sounds like it's overly complicated, that's because it is. It's basically style over substance. There's really no story in here once she gets into the institution. There's the discussions amongst the girls to escape, but then all the visualization stuff is like a steampunk World War II Nazi throwdown thing a lot of the time. And don't get me wrong, those fights and stuff are kind of badass, especially the first one where Baby Doll, our main character, fights a bunch of like samurai dudes that are like massive like rock statues or something, but it's samurai themed and like a monk temple and everything. really cool stuff. I really like those visuals. I just wish it was in a better movie. This is a great example of people like Zack Snyder should not make art house, much less art house will never make money because it sucks most of the time. The only one that probably ever really was a massive success was probably 2001: A Space Odyssey, but more of like the nerdy film obsessies love that film rather than the regular moviegoer like myself, because it's art house, but it doesn't really have a story, but it tries to pretend like it does, and people obsess over it. I love Kubrick, but fuck 2001. Sucker Punch is Zack Snyder's 2001: A Space Odyssey. It just gets worse as I watch it. I don't like it. I'll never sit through it again, probably, because of how brutal it is to sit through. But yeah, the chicks are hot, but what do they do with that? Not much of anything. Not much of really anything. The music is super generic. It feels like a TV movie type of thing nowadays, all these years later, 13 years later, if you can believe that Sucker Punch has been around that long. The acting and performances really aren't great because they really don't have much to work with. The best one in the film is probably Oscar Isaac, and the chick playing the dance team leader, the recital, whatever you would call that chick, the madame, I don't know what we even call her, but yeah, the film has some familiar faces. Yeah, it has talent behind the camera. But dude, at the end of the day, this movie's terrible. Sucker Punch has to be one of the worst films I've ever seen. I cannot believe this got a theatrical release. Yeah, the CGI looks amazing. That's it. It's like a long-ass music video with bad music. That's basically what Sucker Punch is, and always will be, regardless of the cut you see, apparently. This is the first time I ever saw it, and I'm still disappointed. I'm somebody who wanted to see this out of my love for Snyder's films, but I hated this. So if you love it, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about Sucker Punch down below, because I'm about to trash this shit. Yeah, it's got some good visuals. I'd give it, on a 5-star basis, probably a 2 out of 5 stars. That's all I can really be generous enough to get it. It's terrible. It's terrible. Anyway, what do you think about it? Let me know what you think down below. What did you think of the ending of this movie? That's really what I want to discuss too, because that was a strange place to take this. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.